look at biology paper 2, that is a KCSE 2022. On to the first question. The setup below was used to investigate a certain factor necessary for seed germination. Identify the factor under investigation. Before you tackle the question, you can look at the diagram. We have pyrogallic acid, which is always used to absorb oxygen. We have a water bath kept at 35 degrees Celsius. Then we have some soaked beans. And the factor under investigation, it is oxygen. It is the oxygen, and the reason is the presence of pyrogallic acid. And we are saying this pyrogallic acid is important in that it absorbs oxygen in the setup. Then part B, why was it necessary to maintain water bath at 35 degrees Celsius? Since germination involves enzymes, the enzymes work best at optimum temperature, and the optimum temperature is 35 degrees Celsius. Roman 2, using soaked bean seeds. When you soak the bean seeds in water, they'll soften the seed coat of the tester. Then apart from that, water activates germination enzymes and also hydrolyzes stored food, and it acts as a medium of transport since it is a solvent. Then part C, Roman 1, what are the expectations at the end of the experiment in test tube E and F? When you look at E, let's look at E. E, we have pyrogallic acid, and the pyrogallic acid absorbed oxygen. The E, germination will not occur due to lack of oxygen. Then F, we have our soaked bean seeds without pyrogallic acid. It means germination will take place due to presence of oxygen. Explain what is likely to happen in setup F. If it was maintained for 7 days, the germination process stagnates or slows down, or the seeds will die. This is because oxygen will be depleted or will become exhausted due to being used by the cell for respiration. Question 2. A freshwater lake surrounded by agricultural farms has the following organisms: fish, hippopotamus, reeds, algae. Part A, state the role of each of the following organisms in the lake ecosystem. First one, hippopotamus. As you know, the hippopotamus is an animal. It is able to exhale carbon dioxide, which is used by the algae and the reeds. Then apart from that, its dung released into the water enriches it, favoring growth of the reeds and the algae, or we can say the phytoplanktons. And this dung can be fed on by fish. Then algae are producers. This means algae, they are green in color. They are able to trap light energy for photosynthesis, hence produce food. Apart from that, they are able to release oxygen, that is during the process of photosynthesis, and oxygen is a byproduct. Then purifies the ecosystem by using carbon dioxide during photosynthesis. Then the other role of algae, it is able to regulate pH of water by using the carbon dioxide. Then it provides breeding ground for fish, and it is also fed on by fish and hippopotamus. Explain the likely positive and negative effects of surrounding agricultural farms on the lake ecosystem. Roman 1, positive effects. The positive effect is that fertilizer applied on farms find themselves deposited in the lake, thus enriching the lake ecosystem and favoring growth of phytoplanktons and the algae plus other plants. Then the negative effects: excessive use of fertilizers or organic manures result in overgrowth of phytoplanktons, and that will lead to eutrophication. Some agrochemicals used in the farms may be toxic or poisonous. Apart from that, it increases turbidity or reduces visibility or light penetration in the water. Then question 3, 2 tall garden pea plants were crossed and the resulting offspring, 750 were tall and 250 were short, using letter capital T to represent the dominant gene, determine the genotypic ratio of the offspring. Such a question, you can use a Punnett square, or you can use a crosses which involves lines. And in this question, it means tall, the gene for tallness is dominant over the gene for shortness, and the shortness is recessive. It means in this case, the parental genotypes, it is a heterozygous, that is a capital T, small t. Then the first mark, it is on the parental genotypes, it must have that cross. Then second mark is on gametes. Then while using these lines, the gametes must be enclosed and the circle must be complete, and these lines should not pierce through the circles. That is another mark. Then another mark is on the genotypes of the offspring. The genotypic ratio is down here. That is a genotypic ratio, which is down here. Then maybe when you use a Punnett square, we have the genotypes here. We have the genotypes here, that is a capital T, small t, then a small cross. Then we have the gametes inside here. Then we have the symbols which represent, this is a male, this one is female. Then we have a location of the marks and these semicolons. Part B, besides height in garden pea plants, state 2 other contrasting seed traits that Mendel focused on his genetic studies. Number 1, we have texture, and the texture either wrinkled or smooth. We have color, and the color, we can have different colors. Then we have the shape of the seeds. Then part C, state how genetic knowledge has been used to improve pea plant farming. That is artificial selection, you can have crossbreeding, polyploid, or genetic engineering. On to the next question. Question 4, part A. Explain how each of the following factors affect uptake of mineral ions in plants. And those factors which affect uptake of mineral ions, it means the mineral ions are absorbed by either diffusion or active transport. Basically what we are saying, temperature affects both active transport and diffusion, and this temperature below the optimum, the rate of mineral ion uptake is low due to inactive respiratory enzymes. Remember that this active transport requires energy, and that energy comes from respiration. Respiration involves our respiratory enzymes, and the enzymes are affected by temperature. It means when you affect respiration, you have affected uptake of ions due to the active transport, which requires energy. Then at optimum temperature, the rate of mineral ion uptake is highest because respiratory enzymes are most active. And beyond optimum temperature, rate of mineral ion uptake slows down because respiratory enzymes are denatured. That is like they are destroyed, in other terms. Then glucose concentration in root hair cells up. Glucose, as we know, it is a respiratory substrate which is needed for active uptake of mineral salts. High glucose concentration means more energy, leading to more mineral ion uptake. Then low glucose concentration produces less energy, leading to low mineral ion uptake. Then two characteristics of root hairs that increase surface area for absorption of ions. Number one, elongated or long, and being long will increase the surface area for uptake of ions. Then apart from that, these root hairs are numerous or many to increase surface area. Question 5. State two main functions of ear ossicles. And before we talk about the functions, these ear ossicles are three, and they're just the smallest bones in our body: malleus, incus, stapes, and their role is to amplify vibrations. Apart from the amplification of vibrations which are from the eardrum, they also transmit vibrations to the oval window. Part B, explain how the following parts of the ear are structurally adapted to their function. The first one, tympanic membrane. And the tympanic membrane, the other name is the eardrum. And when you talk about the adaptation, for an adaptation to be correct, we have the structure and how it is modified plus the correct function. The modification of the eardrum or the tympanic membrane, it is a tight, which enables it to vibrate, to convert sound waves into vibrations. Remember, eardrum is the one which converts sound waves to vibrations. You can also say it is thin or pliable. Then the cochlea, and the cochlea, its role is a hearing, and the adaptation of the modification, it is highly coiled, and this enables it to accommodate many number of sensory cells. Apart from that, you can say has numerous sensory cells to perceive sound vibrations. Also, this cochlea is filled with a fluid, and the fluids are endolymph and perilymph, which enhance transmission of vibrations. And in case a student names endolymph, you must also include perilymph, because both fluids are found in the cochlea of the ear. Then part C, so the function of the eustachian tube in the mammalian ear, and the role is to balance pressure between the atmosphere and the middle ear. And the middle ear on either side of the tympanum, or between outer and middle ear. And this will help to prevent distortion of the eardrum. Then part D, state the importance of the following in the ear: wax, and the wax are found on the external auditory canal or the meatus, and they trap dust particles, or we can say prevent entry of solid particles or foreign particles into the ear. Then the wax also maintains pliability or the flexibility of the tympanic membrane. Then endolymph and perilymph, these are fluids which absorb shock, thus preventing mechanical damage to the ear. Then they also transmit vibrations in the inner ear. Let's move on to the next question. And the next question is question 6, which is about the graph. And when drawing the graph, you should be very keen on plotting and labeling of the axes because they earn marks, smooth curve, and the scale. And the graph should not be inverted. And the graph was light intensity against the number of bubbles produced per minute. And another thing when drawing the graph, you should consider the upper limits. Then in case a graph is inverted, he or she will get a maximum of 3 points. And if the origin is here, is missing, he or she will be penalized. Then extrapolation should be avoided, which are beyond the small squares. Let's look at the questions. Part C, apparatus used to measure light intensity, and that is a photometer or the photographic light meter or exposemeter. Why is it necessary to get a shoot from an aquatic plant? These aquatic plants, aquatic means water, it means they are adapted to photosynthesizing underwater or where intensity of light is low, and they are able to utilize carbon dioxide in solution form. Then account for the number of bubbles produced between the following units of light, that is 0 to 6. As you can see, 0 to 6. From 0 to 6, the number of bubbles is increasing from 0 to 6. Let's explain. There is a rapid increase in number of bubbles produced due to increased light intensity, which increased the rate of photosynthesis. Then 6 to 8, let's look at 6 to 8. Light intensity between 6 to 8, you can see it is a constant. The number of bubbles remains constant. Let's look at the response. Number of bubbles produced remain constant since the rate of photosynthesis had reached maximum due to optimum light intensity, and the other factors became limiting. Then 2 modification one will make on experimental setup to increase the rate of gas bubble production. You can supply sodium hydrogen carbonate in the setup, which dissociates to release more carbon dioxide. Then increase in number of shoots in the setup and increase in temperature. Then explain limitations of using gas bubbles to determine rate of photosynthesis. As you know, the respiration also produces a gas, which is a carbon dioxide, the same to photosynthesis, and they occur simultaneously in plants. And not all the bubbles may be accounted for because some gas dissolves in water. Then with the reason, predict the number of bubbles that will have been produced at 15 units of light intensity, that is 32, or any other value than 32, because photosynthesis had reached the peak, and the values less than 32 you can explain as chlorophyll had been bleached. Then essay questions, you describe how plants eliminate waste products, and part B, describe the structure and function of mammalian nephron. Let's look at how plants excrete. Number 1, we have transpiration, and this transpiration, excess water is lost in form of water vapor, that is through the stomata and the lenticels. though the lenticels, it is a very little amounts of water which are lost. Then the second method of excretion, we have diffusion, and for example, carbon dioxide from respiration and oxygen from photosynthesis are waste products that are eliminated through the stomata. Then we have storage in non-toxic forms, or what we call deposition. For example, we have caffeine, nicotine, quinine. They are stored in non-toxic forms in tissues like leaves where they fall off. Then exudation, this involves waste being excreted in semi-solid forms, e.g. calcium pectate and resins. Then guttation involves excretion of water in form of droplets through specialized pores we call hydrathoids. Then describe structure and function of mammalian nephron, and we can say it has a renal tubule and a glomerulus, which involves a network of blood capillaries, Bowman's capsule, which allows passage of glomerular filtrate into the proximal convoluted tubule, and in the glomerulus we have ultrafiltration which occurs, and that is due to difference in diameter of blood vessels serving it. The two are afferent blood vessels and efferent blood vessel. Then the proximal convoluted tubule extends from the Bowman's capsule, and this filtrate from the glomerulus flows through proximal convoluted tubule, where useful substances like glucose, amino acids, water, and some mineral salts are selectively reabsorbed into the bloodstream by active transport and diffusion, and water through osmosis. Then we have the loop of Henle, which has the ascending and the descending part, and the descending loop of Henle is for reabsorption of water, while the ascending is mainly for reabsorption of mineral salts. Then we move to the distal convoluted tubule. That is where much water is reabsorbed into the bloodstream by osmosis under the influence of antidiuretic hormone. And more minerals are reabsorbed by diffusion and active transport under the influence of aldosterone hormone. Then we move to the collecting tubule for reabsorption of more water. Then let's move to question 8. And question 8 was about tropic responses and their survival value. And the survival value is just the importance of the tropic responses. And the tropic responses, they are just growth curvatures in response to certain stimuli. The first one we have phototropism, and this is a growth curvature in response to direction of light. And the effect on shoots and roots, the shoots are positively phototropic while roots are negatively phototropic. And the survival value, the importance, it enables shoots reach light for photosynthesis. Next we have chemotropism, and these are growth response to chemical substances or mineral ions. And the survival value, growth of pollen tube towards the embryo sac, enables fertilization to take place. Geotropism, the growth curvature in response to gravity, and shoots are negatively geotropic, roots are positively geotropic. This enables roots to reach water for absorption and enables the roots to grow in soil for anchorage. Hydrotropism, hydro from the word water, growth response to water, and the roots are positively hydrotropic, and this enables roots to reach water for absorption. Then we have thigmotropism, which are growth responses due to contact with solid objects, and it is observed in climbing stems or the plants with weak stems. to enable them reach light for photosynthesis, and also exposes flowers for pollination. Then question 8b, we have how the mammalian heartbeat is controlled. The heartbeat, how it is controlled, we have two ways. We have during the non-nervous control, the cardiac muscles are myogenic. That means they initiate their own contractions and relaxation, which stimulate electrical excitations, and the electrical changes originate from within in the sinoatrial node, which stimulates electrical excitations through auricles leading to their contraction, and the stimulation proceeds to atrioventricular node into the Purkinje tissues to all ventricles which contract. During the nervous control, blood pressure and chemical composition of blood is monitored by cardiovascular center of the brain, and the rate can be increased by sympathetic nerve and also can be lowered by vagus nerve. Thank you for listening, and maybe you can like the video and share the video and subscribe on the channel for more content on biology, agriculture, and general topics. Thank you.